Hey, what's up, guys? Getting closer and closer all the time to the final finished product of this studio. I cannot stop listening to Sympathy is a Knife by Charlie XCX. Good Lord. That is such a good song. So catchy. Reminds me of like Purity Ring meets, um, I don't know, being on Molly, essentially. Man, it's so good. I don't know if I'm going to use any of this. Is it called Charlie XCX? All right, yeah. I feel so old sometimes. Okay, so what I want to talk about, I've just been traveling a lot. I went to New Mexico and I went to Florida. And there's a lot of retired people in both of those places. And I've had to listen to a lot of old people lately tell me how the world is. And I wrote a Medium post about this. I'm going to write more now. It really helps me to kind of like synthesize my thoughts in a linear way, right? It's really hard. I do these rants and you're trying to keep this point leads to this point, which leads to this point in your head. I know it seems extemporaneous, but I really do think a lot about them. Um, and yeah, I just want to write more, especially as I gear up for the coming revolution. When I say things like that, I know people are like, wow, you're so heroic, Davidson. You're going to be a revolutionary. Anyway, but yeah, there's a new dynamic in society now that I don't think people talk about enough. And it is that old people's viewpoints on how they think the world is, their worldview, is continuing to crumble. And there's all these articles about how like Gen Z, millennials, especially Gen Z though, like don't seem as invested in their work anymore. And it's because we're not stupid, and it's considered polite to, and respect your elders and listen to what they have to say. But ever since the genocide started happening in Israel, everything that old people say most things that old people say just sound completely out of touch, downright delusional a lot of the times, right? To say that America is anything but an evil empire at this point is horseshit in our minds. To say that there's any reason to step on people, to get ahead, to burn the midnight oil at your work. How can you burn the midnight oil when the midnight ocean is boiling, right? The North Atlantic current is slowing down. That's the current that brings warm air to Europe. Europe's going to enter another ice age. And you're listening to Joe Schmo, your boomer boss, telling you, when I was your age, I was worked 60 hours a week and always went the extra mile. And it's like, well, you also paid $5,000 for your house, man. Shut the fuck up. Israel has a right to defend itself. It's like, no, it doesn't. Hamas has a right to defend themselves. How about that? How about everyone below the age of 35 goes as a Hamas fighter for the next Halloween? Makes you really fucking uncomfortable. It's just getting so annoying. And it's just not worth it. And my name is Davidson Boswell. I look the way I do. I've pretty much everything I've gotten in this world is because I know how to talk to older people. And that is definitionally white privilege. But it's also symmetrical face privilege. It's also, neurotypical privilege, even though I'm not neurotypical, but I am an extrovert. So I'm able to engage with the world in a way that is profitable, I guess, because it matters so little to boomers. They can always teach you how you messed up on an Excel spreadsheet, but they want you to listen to how their daughter did in her gymnastics routine way more than you being like excelling at your job. All you have to be is competent if you're willing to listen to boomers prattle on about the way the world is, about the way things work. They'll say things. Yeah. And just to finish that original point, and they want you to care about their lives. They want you to give them what they think their status confers, right? Which is respect in every arena, including things that have nothing to do with work. And they can make like kind of weird, generalizations about the world. They'll say things like women shop, men buy, right? Just like very like subtly misogynistic things, or they'll be like, I don't really ride the train after 7 at night. You know how it is. I'm like, do I know how it is, or do you want me to grin and kind of do one of these? Yeah, yeah. It's just so that just really gets old to me. And yeah, in the face of housing unaffordability, the climate crisis, and the massacres that are happening in Rafah and northern Gaza that we can see, whether we want to or not, on our phones, I'm convinced you could be subscribed to like only like Vogue, E News, um, you know, uh, TMZ, and still your phone would show you a picture of like an 11-year-old Palestinian getting arrested by the IDF and brutalized, right? It's just so ubiquitous. Your friends are sharing this footage, right? And then it's such a cognitive whiplash to look at that and then be like, okay, here I go into my investment banking job where I'm an office manager and I have to listen to people who had a much easier time affording a house. They didn't grow up with this kind of like end of history vibe, right? There was still somewhat manifest destiny, like we can spread out into the world now. We can make new housing developments. There's a land with some streams, and birds will chirp in the morning when we wake up, when we have our coffee, and we can have grandkids, and America's the good guy and Russia's the enemy, and my friends aren't burgeoning fascists or Antifa. America still had news networks that weren't completely using basically either identity politics or overt racism to consolidate their consumer base so they can sell them, I don't know, thyroid medication at commercial breaks. It's also insidious. It's also evil now, but they still want you to act like they accomplished something that was impressive, right? What's so impressive about what you did? You bought Amazon stock when it cost $8 and now it's like $300. Good job. What do you want from me? Yeah, that's what you want from me. Yeah. And I think that's proof that material possessions, ultimately, it's a meaningless pursuit to acquire a lot of them, because who fucking gives a shit if it's built on the backs of the blood of the black and the brown? I talked about this. Like, the only reason that we're allowed to see these things on our iPhones is because there are enslaved people in the Congo mining these things. And then and the ultimate irony, and you learn about it on the phone, right? God, I'm going to be awful to be with at parties soon. This is all I'm going to be able to talk about. I can already feel it, which is why I've joined this socialist organization that I'm going to really start pushing for in the coming months. And I don't know if a lot of my followers follow me because of revolution or because I'm just a white guy that started talking about Israel, Palestine, and the class divide in America. But I'm going to be a lot more solution oriented in the coming weeks and months. I'm not going to be the guy saying, oh, look at all this atrocity and there's nothing we can do about it, which has kind of been my MO. But I'm done feeling that way. I have to try. I'm going to lay on the gears, as that guy in Berkeley said in the 60s, right? The only way to stop this is to get in the way of capitalism. You have to essentially throw sand in the gears or your own body, which I know sounds like, ooh, I'm a badass. I'm sitting in my room with Porky the Pig here saying that I'm going to, overthrow capitalism. I'm not, but I'm going to try. I'm going to be involved in the process. I've been looking my whole life for something bigger than myself. It's so funny to me. A lot of people say, growing up it was Christianity and now it's Islam. People are saying Islam will provide the answers. The real answer is class consciousness and revolution, right? The real answer is within our collective identity as the working class, as the exploited. The real answer is saying fuck this shit to capitalists who just want to bloviate, who just want to talk to you about meaningless, inane horse shit, show you a picture of their boat or their car that they bought because they have assets and they don't rely on their labor anymore. The Blackstone CEO in 2023 made $900 million in 1 year, and that was down from the year before. He made essentially $2 billion in 2 years. You could work from the times the pyramids were built and not even get to a fraction of that, to 1/1000th of that amount of money. But just because you want to eat the world, because your morality, you pretty much check at the door, I have to act like that's impressive. That's what they want from me. That's what, when I was in Florida the other week and hanging out with my mom's friend who married a billionaire, everything that he said, including that the royal family was cool, you have to just be like, and it's a hostage situation, right? You're staying in their house. What are you going to do? Pick a fucking fight? Go sleep on the lawn? No. But every time someone who is rich opens their mouth, it makes me want to fucking scream at this point, because the boomers are not letting go of their houses. They're not even giving us the opportunity to be the jackasses that they are. We're never going to get the opportunity to be like, well, look at all the shit I have, So what is to be done besides join socialist organizations and fucking fight? We're going to go to protest this summer and sign more people up. And then we're going to build a parallel economy. In New Mexico, I went to a thrift store. I bought 2 pairs of pants and a shirt for $9. It is possible. Greed does not have to rule the day. All we have to do is get to a critical mass, and then we can fucking take it to them. I'm telling you, it's not hopeless. We can do this, but it's going to take a lot of people at once. And eventually, we can get to a point where you don't have to pretend to care about some rich guy or rich woman's personal life that you didn't ask for anyways, but you know that your economic well-being hinges on pretending to care about this person who is so not self-aware when they brag about their second or third home or the fact that they're going to London this summer. Meanwhile, you're living hand to mouth, And then you get lectured from the same class about engaging in basic luxuries, like, oh, I like my coffee out. I like the experience of going to a place in my neighborhood. And yes, it's overpriced, but that's fucking your fault, right? Jacking up the commodity prices. What's the point of using slavery if you're still going to make things this expensive, Oh, I know. It's so that you can be rich and lord over people and want us. And like, it's not enough for you. It's not enough for you to have fucking wrecked the world. You want our respect too. Respect isn't given. It's fucking earned. And I know that this life path that I'm on is worrying to a lot of people in my personal life. And in case any of you are watching this right now, I don't care. This is the thing. I don't think I finished my thought from before. This is the thing that I've been looking for my whole life. And yes, it makes me very depressed sometimes at night when I think about everything that's left to be done. But it's like anti-religion in the fact that not everything is settled, right? You don't give your life up to Jesus or Muhammad and say, all right, it's done. Everything that happens to me was part of some greater plan. No. We're going to make the greater plan. The body politic, right? Biden wins, Trump wins, nothing is going to happen, right? And if you listen to them behind closed doors when they talk to their donors, they'll say that, right? Nothing's going to change. The border is going to be militarized. Israel's going to get all of our taxpayer money. Every time there's a government program that's supposed to help with environmental concerns, it's going to get killed in the 11th hour, just like Kathy Hochul, the Democratic governor of New York. She killed congestion pricing and then gaslit the fuck out of her citizenry by saying, oh, pizza is going to be more expensive if you do this. Hard to eat pizza when it's 120 degrees outside, right? Planes can't take off when it gets that hot. We don't realize how fast we're hurtling towards an unlivable future. And the soundtrack to it cannot be old people bragging about their material possessions. And the other thing is it's complete horseshit that this is going to get transferred to us, right? That's the big line of the day, is that well, you don't have to worry about it because when your boomer parents or Gen X relatives die, they're going to leave you those assets. No, capitalism is going to drain all those assets away from them in the last few years of their lives as they're hooked up to very expensive machines to keep them alive. The system is designed to leave you with nothing, right? Sure, you might have some old pictures of like horses or something, like paintings of horses that your parents leave you that maybe you can sell to some other boomer that's still got a beating heart. But for the most part, you're going to go to an expensive retirement home. You're going to, I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I've joined this organization. It's called Firebrand NYC. And I'm experiencing a pretty interesting phenomenon with that because I am white, as I've do I need to say that? Do I have any blind people that listen to this? And I'm a man. And most of the people in the organization so far are women of color, right? Who have been fucked by the system in one way or another, you know? And I basically have to learn to shut the fuck up, right? And also take constructive criticism. My ego is so fucking fragile, dude. I need to do like a heroic dose of mushrooms and like listen to Karl Marx for like 10 hours because I find myself bristling at, very basic suggestions on how I could improve things. And I guess I've always been a bit of a Luddite. I've always been someone who doesn't really respond to technology, or like isn't very good at it, right? Making spreadsheets, things like that. But the whole purpose of an organization, like a socialist organization, is that everyone does tasks kind of in like a rotating way. So this is going to make me a better person. But in the meantime, I'm going to have to fucking get over myself, And that is the ultimate thing that I guess stands in the way of true liberation, is thinking of yourself as too important or too smart to do something, right? And I am a little bit older than a lot of people in this organization, which I'm happy about, right? Young people are going to be our saviors. People comment on my Instagram all the time saying, "Oh, Gen Z is going to save us." I'm like, well, you must be talking about someone else because I'm right in the crosshairs of being a millennial. But yeah, we're the coalition, and the world needs less know-it-alls. So it's going to be nice to kind of splinter my life into these two ways of being like a comedian who's like, these are my thoughts, and then a socialist where I'm like, what are your thoughts? And let them kind of seep into my brain and inform my way of being. And I'll sit there and I won't have intense energy like I do on this podcast. I'll try and be welcoming in my vibe and in my, actual way. I'll learn to do things on Google Drive. I'll try to be an active tool for people. But it is so antithetical to who I am. But I realize that that's a conditioning of capitalism. Not to rail on that over and over again, but I don't know. You would have tuned out by now if you got bored by it. We can do this. That's my message, right? It takes a letting go of things, right? You have to not want to be that boomer that someday lords over younger people, desperate for their validations. It really is pathetic. It's fucking pathetic. Like, honestly, I want to escalate it with them when they start talking about why Trump is good or why Biden is good or why I don't know, bankers are smart, Jamie Dimon. Like, I want to because I want to weaponize their own biases against them. I'd be like, not only is Trump good, I really want to see him naked. Like, I want to have sex with him. Like, I want to thank him for everything he's done, and I want him to tear me apart, right? Biden, I bet he's got a massive hog. and I want to see it and I want to lick it. You know, you love them that much. I love them even more. I it's just like what do they want from me? Why do I have to be the guy that like, oh yeah, you're so and you know. Anyhow, um I guess that's going to be the episode. I feels good. Feels good to be on a path. Feels good to be on a path forward. I want people to join me. It's called Firebrand NYC. I want people to subscribe to my Patreon, but I've been lazy about uploading those things. So if you do, you're basically just giving me money for an episode every once in a while. I'm gonna make one right after this. Actually, I'm gonna take a break and then make that as well. We're gonna build a parallel economy, guys. We're gonna fucking not have to listen to these people too much longer if we do this. And to me, that's the thing I'm most excited about. You wanted capitalism. Wow. Wow, how did you manage to do that? You were born to a middle class or upper middle class family, you went to college and you bought assets that appreciated? That's fucking cool. Did Look at this. Our taxpayer money is killing children. Do you care about it? Oh, you don't? But you want respect? That doesn't make much sense to me. All right, that's going to be it. Peace.